It's no secret that in gymnastics, skills go in and out of style faster than you can say Sukahara. And that isn't necessarily a bad thing, since it forces the gymnasts to improve and keep the sport interesting, since they're expected to do unimaginable somersaults, flips, turns, and twists. As crazy as these stunts may be, our favorite athletes fine-tune their bodies to perform these mind-blowing routines. Here are some moves that will leave you even more fascinated with the sport than before. First, we have rollout skills. A rollout skill is when a gymnast adds a half salto and rolls out rather than completing a full flip to their feet. An example of this is the Thomas salto, which was named after Kurt Thomas. The Thomas salto is a back salto with 1.5 flips followed by 1.5 twists that the gymnast rolls out of at the end before standing up. In women's gymnastics, rollout skills have been banned for a while because of how much precision it takes to land correctly and avoid neck injury. The same safety concerns resulted in the skill being banned in men's gymnastics in the 2017 to 2020 Code of Points, since the difficult landing had caused injuries for multiple gymnasts. Avid fans of the sport probably know of Elena Mukina, a Soviet gymnast who broke her neck and became quadriplegic because of Thomas salto. 20-year-old Elena had landed on her chin and ended up becoming permanently paralyzed a month before the 1988 Olympics. Even after the incident, since it took a while to impose the ban, a lot of male and female gymnasts, like Hu Shimei at the 1992 Olympics, completed rollout skills. Up next, Tkachev salto. The Tkachev salto is performed on uneven bars and is considered the hardest stunt in gymnastics, but not because of the apparatus the skill is performed on. The movements that it consists of complicate the whole routine itself, but if done right and executed successfully, male gymnasts can score difficulty points on the high bar. The Tkachev salto is a release maneuver in which the gymnast moves their body around the bar in an unusual manner. After passing the low point in their rotation, they prepare to release the bar and perform a forward somersault, after which their body glides backwards over the top of the bar while simultaneously rotating forward. Even though the move is more than 40 years old, elite gymnasts still find the Tkachev salto a challenge to perform. Next, we have belly beats. Belly beats are when a gymnast swings from a headstand position on the high bar and slams their hips into the low bar to help the gymnast gain momentum in order to complete the next skill. This skill is commonly referred to as just beats or beating the bar, and as painful as it looks, it doesn't hurt at all when executed perfectly. The bars have to be on the perfect setting in order for the skill to be performed correctly to ensure each gymnast hits in just the right spot. The trend for this once extremely popular skill faded when wider set bars became the norm. They allowed gymnasts to have more room for flight during bar-to-bar releases and other precise moves. The downside to this is that it's caused the gymnastics of today to lose the flowy connected rhythm many bar routines used to have in the past. Now we have Syllabus Mount. Named after Romanian gymnast Daniela Syllabus, the Syllabus Mount is done by jumping up to a shoulder stand with the legs in a straddle position, after which the gymnast then pirouettes their body into a chest stand. This skill helped Daniela Syllabus win the gold medal on beam back in the 1988 Seoul Olympics, but sadly, this skill is largely ignored today. A lot of gymnasts don't want to take the risk of falling as soon as they start, since the pros of completing a difficult mount like this outweigh its cons. After Alicia Sacramoni's fall from her mount at the 2008 Olympics, a lot of the teams decided to play it safe and avoid risking the fall. Over time, the syllabus and other similar tricky mounts ended up fading out of style. Next on our list, Kamenichi dismount. Many gymnastic skills are no longer performed because as impressive as they look, their difficulty isn't worth the value. The Kamenichi dismount, named after 5-time Olympic gold medalist Nadia Kamenichi, was no exception since it was one of the most difficult skills being done at the time. The dismount would begin like a normal toe front dismount like you'd see today, but as the gymnast shoots their legs off the bar and begins to release, it goes from a half twist into a backflip instead of the regular forward salto salto performed in a toe front. Nadia showed off this complicated skill in the 1976 Olympics, and while it was pretty difficult back then, more challenging skills today have forced the Comaneci dismount out of the competition. And now we have back-to-back tumbling. Any tumbling pass in which a gymnast tumbles from one corner of the floor to another and then back again to the original corner without stopping is known as back-to-back tumbling. The head spinning skill used to be performed by a lot of gymnasts, including Danielle Silikos, Oksana Omelianchik, and Dominique Dawes, but today you see it less often, since the focus is shifted to more difficult skills that take more energy to complete on their own instead of flipping out of. Elements such as a proper landing, form, and connecting skills also made the skill unpopular, since back-to-back tumbling is too difficult to do without a gymnast having their points deducted in many places. Next up, Tsukahara beam dismount. The Tsukahara beam dismount went out of style when the value of the skill sunk way below its actual difficulty, but unlike the other outdated and unpopular skills, the Tsukahara dismount still has a chance to make a comeback. In the dismount, the gymnast performs a round-off off the beam and immediately goes into a back salto without their feet touching the ground until they've landed. The skill was added back to the code of points back in 2013 to 2017 as a C skill after being excluded for some time. Since in those years a gymnast couldn't compete a C skill as a dismount, this addition didn't make too big of an impact until later when the 2017 to 2020 code of points removed the requirement for a D-level dismount. Even though we hardly ever see the skill performed these days, Tsukahara dismount fans still have hope for a comeback since it was performed relatively recently at the Chicago Style Meet in 2017. Then we have the Arabian double front. This gymnastic skill is used popularly by elite gymnasts. It's an intricate stunt in which the gymnast does a half turn, after which they turn in the air twice before landing. This move is typically executed during a floor routine since it's a tumbling maneuver performed by both male and female gymnasts, although it can also be incorporated into several other gymnastic apparatuses like the balance beam and vault. Completing this gymnastic ensemble lands a big score on the record since the routine is highly rated in difficulty. Next, the balance beam. Routines are performed on a 4-inch beam 4 feet off the floor, making flips and twists much harder to do, especially when it's a tumbling pass that combines 2 or more flips in a sequence. Back in the day, dance poses, flips, and back handsprings were what was in trend, but this totally changed when Nadia Comaneci and Olga Korbut came into the scene, paving history with aerial skills and advanced tumbling skills on the beam. For a gymnast, no matter how skilled, keeping the momentum going while trying to be perfectly balanced and coordinated on the beam as they try to execute each move at the right time in a perfectly straight line is daunting to say the least, and this is the reason why the balance beam apparatus strikes fear into the hearts of so many female gymnasts. A perfectly done routine aside, every competitor knows that one misstep on the beam can result in serious injury that could very well be fatal. Up next, handsprings front entry. As easy as this may look to perform, in a competition, the judges are pretty strict when it comes to the gymnast's posture and execution of the stunt. Coaches sometimes emphasize shoulder flexibility along with good arm and leg coordination to ensure the routine is successfully executed. Gymnasts need to discipline themselves to resist the reflex of tucking forward during forward rotations. A regular front handspring from the horse is made even more complicated with the addition of somersaults and twists before the gymnast lands neatly on the ground. Even though we've often seen the stunt in dance moves, it's one of the many complicated stunts female gymnasts perform on a vault and should be done with extreme precautions. And then we have the Maltese cross. This stunt is usually performed by male gymnasts because of the upper body strength needed to suspend themselves horizontally with their arms extended laterally in a cross position while maintaining near perfect stillness. As the gymnast holds onto the rings, judges expect him to remain in the position for a minimum number of seconds, while his body remains horizontally suspended in the air parallel to the ground. Out of all the cross positions, the Maltese cross is the most extreme since it tests the gymnast's upper body strength and endurance. That's a wrap for this video. Which one of these routines are you looking forward to seeing your favorite gymnast perform? Make sure to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel for more more videos like this. See you in the next one.